I've been buying, selling, researching, and tinkering with cryptocurrencies every day for the last 4 years of my life, just like other people might do with their favorite game or hobby. And yet, I had never really understood how to truly unlock the full power of one of crypto's most powerful industries, that is, of course, decentralized finance, until very recently, because I basically decided from day one that it wasn't worth my time. You see, DeFi is so expansive that it's super easy to be confused by the numbers, options, or even just how to make the most of it. There's so many terms like yield farms, lending, borrowing, APY, APR, wrapped LST, and even VE tokens that it makes it so much easier to just not even worry about it. However, you really should, because understanding the rare opportunity we have to harness decentralized finance will allow you to gain so much more in crypto than anyone else around you. You'll quite literally be the crypto wizard of your friend group when they ask you how you got so much more out of the market in 2025's bull run than they did. So today, I want to take you through a way in which you can really make the most out of decentralized finance, aka DeFi, to ensure your journey in the bull market is as positive as it possibly can be. And just a quick reminder, do not forget, if you enjoy the content or find what I say helpful and you wanted to say a big thank you, hit the like button and subscribe so you can achieve your crypto financial goals. So before we get into the crux of the video, I've got to say, DeFi isn't the industry, the narrative, all the types of altcoins you want to be looking at in crypto to achieve a buy and then sell in 2025 just to achieve the multiples on the coins. DeFi is used like you would with finance, traditional finance methods. This is things like leveraging and borrowing and staking and basically earning passive income on your tokens, or using that passive income in a specific way to then obviously offer you more yield, okay? It's all about passive returns, which is likely going to be beneficial for a lot of you. Now, I'd like to take things off with just reiterating and visually showing you what I just said. So the DeFi index is in this green color, as you can see right here, which is basically an accumulation of all the DeFi protocols, and then a score, a percentage comes out in terms of the overall growth versus Ethereum and Bitcoin. And as you can see, right, if you bought Bitcoin 12 months ago or Ethereum, you would have outperformed all of DeFi if you could have bought an index for DeFi, basically. So, of course, individual altcoins under and overperform this score, but this is, again, the accumulation of all of those altcoins. So I wanted to also take you back to, again, showing you the ranking I've done here for narratives themselves. So I've ranked DeFi a 6 out of 10, one of the lowest scores. This was a slightly outdated narrative list I did many months ago, but I believe DeFi is still about a 5 or a 6 out of 10, meaning that I believe out of all the narratives, DeFi will underperform a lot of these, and of course we are seeing that right now. But again, let me reiterate this to you. DeFi isn't really used for individual altcoin buying. Yes, you can get away with a 10, 20x, maybe even 1,000x on some of these coins. It is primarily used for making the most out of your money and leveraging this new way and distributed finance system that we have created with crypto. When it comes to knowing, like, when is DeFi picking up, is this looking like a good industry to even bother with trying to get into, then we can come to the TVL here and have a look on DeFi Llama to see if we are picking up steam, and yes, we most definitely are. Currently speaking, at a $55 billion in total TVL across all networks in crypto, DeFi has been at the highest point it has been since the bear market. The only point that we were actually higher was way back in August of 2022, and I don't really want to count that because that was basically off the bull run, okay? We typically have that moment of like this consolidation, we kind of come up, and then we have been down ever since until this point. So it is very good to see. It's also promising to know that we will reach far and exceed all-time highs from the last bull run, because if we zoom out even more, the commencement of the last bull run in 2021, we were at about $14 billion in total TVL, working all the way up to $173 billion, right? So basically a 3x from our current point. But where we are in the market right now is equivalent to back in 2019. We didn't even have $1 million in TVL back then. So we have a lot of room to grow. I'm telling you right now, this is likely going to be probably pushing upwards of $500 billion in TVL. So finding the right altcoins, finding the ones that will allow us to maximize our gains in both the sense of utilizing the things that DeFi is most known for, plus also being a low market cap project, is, I believe, a recipe for success. And I believe I have found a really promising one I will share with you in a moment. Another really great sign to see, of course, is the stablecoin market cap growing. This, of course, is a primary aspect used within DeFi protocols. It's often what I look at as well, assessing a layer 1 strength, because again, within layer 1s itself, DeFi pretty much reigns supreme for most of these projects. And of course, the growing market cap size in general for stablecoins is positive, and we can see here we've been on a very consistent downtrend with the stablecoin market cap. We have now since seen an uptick, and we can see over here with the percentage change that we have seen an inflow into crypto, a noticeable uptick since the recent 12 months of consistent downtrend, okay? So we have money flowing in through stablecoins as well. Partly the reason why DeFi has likely got a higher TVL right now. So with that being said, the project I want to introduce you all today that I believe is going to be a DeFi powerhouse is Syncus. Now, Syncus, in a way, is like a decentralized bank. You basically have a DAO, or a decentralized autonomous organization. So basically a group of us, people, that run the systems and operations of this decentralized bank. And we basically stake our tokens in it to receive rewards, APY. Now, this in of itself is sounding very basic, but the fundamental aspects and principles that go into the project per se make it very appealing from a DeFi perspective. High APY, very safe and secure. And I'm going to look at a project here in a second that fundamentally Syncus replaces that once had a 4 billion market cap. Let me run you through the homepage. Let me run you through the APY and who is actually creating the project, because the mastermind behind this is a genius and a well-respected person within crypto himself. So the greatest wealth creation effect of our modern age, a treasury-backed ecosystem of DeFi products built for longevity and user empowerment. Syncus will continue to reward stakeholders, simply buy and stake. This is going to make a lot of sense when we explain the inner workings here in a second. So earn yield on appreciating asset like never seen before. Syncus mechanisms represent a new era in DeFi. It uses simple yet detailed mechanics to reward stakeholders and drive sustainable treasury growth. So all you really have to do to participate is actually just stake your tokens for a predetermined period of time. You can choose how long you want to stake for, and you receive a set amount of APY for that time. Now, it is interesting, right? Because naturally you're thinking to yourself, hang on a second, Kyron, if it was as simple as me staking and receiving rewards, how are those rewards like verified? How are those rewards continuous? Like, how does that work? Well, basically the rewards are gained from people buying and selling the token. Now, this is all built up a very similar model from a project called Olympus, or OHM was the token. Now, a lot of you guys remember OHM. This project has since crashed, burned. It's basically kaput, because there was a fatal flaw in its mechanism that ultimately Syncus has modeled off, but fixed, changed, and made sustainable, okay? So Olympus at its peak hit a $4 billion market cap. It was huge, and everyone thought it was the new revolution. Everyone thought it was the new thing going to replace and ultimately fix like a decentralized reserve currency. Now, fundamentally speaking, the way in which Syncus will have to work from right now, as we'll see in a second, is that it will have to begin with higher APYs to attract more investors. Once we have a bigger treasury pot, once the treasury is large enough, then they can begin to expand, grow, and create more utility basically for the network. But already they're earning $300,000 per day. I know what you're thinking. How is that even possible? Well, I'm going to show you right now in a second, okay? Before I was making this video, basically, I made a screenshot of 2 different points at like literally like 20 minutes, half an hour apart, and the change was insane. So here's a calculator, okay? Here's how you'll be able to understand how much returns you can effectively get back. Now, this is all, again, their current dashboard. They are looking to revitalize this. But as we can see, when you stake your Syncus tokens, you get back VE Sync. That's just the voting escrow tokens basically you get for enabling you to participate in the DAO itself. But if you were to stake 1 million Sync tokens, which by the way isn't that much, Sync is not even trading at 1 cent, it's trading at 40% of a cent. And so if you decided to stake this for 365 days, given the current APY is 102%, you would actually be able to get double your money. Of course, 100% is double, okay? We can also bring this way back down to 30 days, and the rewards are still quite insane, right? You'd pretty much be getting the difference of $3,800 here and $4,100, which is $300, okay? So pretty impressive sort of stuff for a month. Again, that's almost $100 a week, and for someone who's doing this just as passive income, that can be quite rewarding. But again, how do they sustain such high APY? Well, it all comes down to the treasury and how many people actually stake their tokens within Syncus itself, and depending on how many people buy and sell. They do have a tax of 15% on buy and sells, which all goes back into the treasury to then feed people the higher APYs. But here's a little snapshot I want to show you all, okay? This was taken like, again, half an hour, maybe an hour apart from one another. So the market cap at this point was $16.8 million, okay? And the staked SYNC token was $5 million with an APY of 101%. So we had a lot of money currently staked, around about 1/3. And then suddenly the market cap dropped, right? So someone had sold their tokens, it dropped about, let's just say $1 million or so, and the staked amount dropped by a few $100,000 and the APY increased. So this is the thing, right? In that particular trade itself, what would have happened was a 15%, or at least it was multiple trades, a 15% tax would have been initiated that would have come back to feed the treasury's balance, okay? The treasury's balance is $1.4 million as of right now, and then of course it's $1 million over here to be distributed to the stakers. So it's effectively how it works is it incentivizes people to come and stake, to buy the token, which incurs the fee, to stake the token, and then people want to come in, oh, the APY is still good, I want to buy some tokens. Or maybe people buy in, price goes up, and the original people who have currently staked their tokens might say, hey, I've made a good 40-50% reward here, I want to sell. And then the 15% is initiated again on the sell, and that comes back into the treasury. So no matter what happens, as long as Syncus is being utilized in some capacity within people buying and selling to some degree, it is going to increase the treasury balance. And now this is important, because this is fundamentally how the Olympus token failed. Now, I'm not going to go into the tokenomics and the economics in this protocol. It will literally be a half an hour video in of itself. But the reason Syncus does all of this is to enable an economy to grow. In the future, they do plan on growing an ecosystem of DeFi products on specifically ZK Sync, which is, of course, a new layer 2 on Ethereum. But right now, they only are on Ethereum. So here's why this is so impressive. They have currently $5 million in total value locked with a 100% APY, again, sustainable. However, the comparison to other projects, we can see we're using D.Fi here, in the same realm. Look at this. These projects have an APY of like 2 million, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, right? But they all have very low amounts in their TVL. 100,000, 18,000, 88,000, very high risk. Again, you compare this to back onto Syncus with $5 million in TVL, which is 1/3 of their entire market cap, with 100% APY because of the way in which it is designed. So Syncus will introduce protocol taxes for each action, such as buying and selling, using them to fund the treasury in order to produce real yield to stakers, unlike banks, unlike previous examples of this, aka OHM. So the way it all works is they have high yield, brings in people, which means more demand. More demand equals more volume, and it's a percentage of the volume. Remember, 15%, not percentage of the gas fees, it's a percentage of the volume, equals more treasury growth equals more yield equals more demand equals more volume, so on and so forth. It's the way it all works. Now, this is an interesting tweet right here. This was something that basically Syncus made very transparent, and it's that this particular individual, Tyler Reynolds, who is an influencer in the space, mentioned the difference between a Ponzi protocol and a good protocol with a flywheel is what happens when there is an actual dip. So take Luna for an example. Luna was all great, but when that flywheel reversed back and there was a crash or a downside, it actually reversed that and it became evident that it was a Ponzi scheme, right? It all came crumbling back down again. And that's a very similar situation, again, with what happened to OHM. However, what they state on Syncus here is, the biggest danger for Sync is price increasing too rapidly without dumps in between, as this leads dumpers to dump at higher prices, extracting more from the protocol-owned liquidity. We serve many small holders who profit 50% at a time to create the maximum amount of value for Sync holders. So effectively speaking, when we have, this is their chart, when we have moments of a pump, dump, pump, dump, pump, dump, pump, dump, and it will continue up like this, it's ultimately increasing the protocol's treasury, which is what they are trying to do in these early phases. Now, I'm pretty certain in this case, they will abolish this 15% tax on buyers and sells as the protocol begins to grow. Then they can switch the DAO into doing other things relating to DeFi, specifically in, again, the ZK Sync era. So in the chart, we can see this materialized as a massive pump and dump for a floor created in the tax. As less Sync is left in the liquidity pool, this pattern will continue as Sync grinds its way up to the treasury. This is the biggest difference between any crypto Ponzi or meme coin and Syncus. Syncus has no death spiral. Again, it benefits them when there is a dump to then create more treasury balance, and then it will incentivize more people because of that. So it's very simple how it all works. Again, like they said over here from their homepage, it is designed to be simple, but to be very effective. So let's take a look now into the tokenomics of Syncus. But before we do, I want to say this video has been sponsored by Syncus, so a big shout out to them and a big thank you. I wanted to say that for full disclosure. I know a lot of you guys want to know this, and it fundamentally hasn't changed my opinion on the project. I like to give very fair, honest reviews, even though they are sponsored. The sponsor obviously helps me keep the lights on, keeps bringing daily videos out for you all to enjoy. Now, with that being said, let's have a look into the allocation. So there is 4 billion tokens all up. Half of these tokens were given to the IDO participants, as we can see over here. We didn't have a large participation round. Only about 276 people purchased in. 188 ETH was actually raised at an average of 0.7 per participant. Now, the team allocation is very interesting here, and this is a very bullish thing actually. The team owns no sync tokens. They own 0, but they've been given a certain amount of P-Sync tokens. Now, these tokens don't hold any weight in governance proposals. They are just simply like dormant tokens. And the way in which the team actually accumulates their sync tokens themselves is when the governance, the DAO system, votes that they can have unlocked tokens. Now, this is all done again through voting, which again, the team doesn't have actually any authority with their P-Sync tokens, but the amount of tokens they do receive will be determined at the time of the unlock, depending on the price of the sync token. So we can go now and have a look into the contracts and wallets associated with the team, or at least the protocol in some way, shape, or form. We can see all the contracts down here, but we can also see, most importantly, the owned wallets, right? The protocol-related wallets. And if we come to the holders, we currently have 3,100. Again, keep in mind, this project is very new indeed. They've only been around since basically early December. And so I think 3,000 holders is actually pretty decent for how long it has been active for, basically a month. Now, we do have the number one holder over here, pretty concerning, 31%. The top 4 basically have an accumulation of about 60 or so percent. However, one of these is the 10% over here to the Uniswap V2 sync contract. We do have the 2 in yellow here from the team directly. Well, team related, protocol related, I should say at least. So 31% and about 11%, so a total of about 42% is basically in control of the team, with likely this person over here at 15% just being someone who has been accumulating the token since it first launched, which they obviously have. So in any case, that is pretty interesting to know. I think most of the distribution between all the basically 3,000 holders is very fair. As you can see, they all have a pretty proportionate amount of the supply, which makes sense. The protocol, again, is incentivized to get people in, staking, holding, buying, to, of course, keep that protocol and treasury's balance sheet higher and higher and higher. The founder of Syncus himself is, again, a very reputable person in the space. He is not doxed, I want to say that. Derivatives Monkey. He is followed by some very big people. Polinaya, Dan Risa, JRNY Crypto, and Emperor is down there as well. So he's very well known in the space, and he's not just a part of Syncus. He's involved with Z Casino and Zigzag Exchange as well. So the man's definitely a legend in the area, and he's got some pretty interesting tweets about Syncus. So he says, "You'll never have to sell sync tokens, as you can simply borrow 85% of its value in USDC from our upcoming borrowing and lending platform." Again, they're creating more use cases for Syncus. Some might compare our tactics to those of Hex. You guys should all know Hex by now, right? Which reached an $80 billion market cap at its peak. While controversial to some, Syncus is aiming for similar success. And we'll follow up here by saying at a 20 mil market cap, it offers the highest upside potential compared to anything else available except meme coins. Very low market cap project. Again, similar to, like he said, Hex, similar to Olympus DAO. Very early on, 15 mil market cap currently to date. And of course, it does have those sort of DeFi aspects that we were speaking about earlier on in the video. So with that being said, everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you all think about Syncus down below. And if you want to get in on the action, I will leave the contract address down below so you can all make sure you're not getting scammed by searching this yourself. Again, very young project, high potential, so we'll see where it all goes. Thank you so much for watching this video. All the best for 2025, and we will talk very soon.